Thank you. We are here today to take a stand against corruption, to fortify our community, to formulate ways to prevent this from happening in our island. For too long, merit has not been the guiding principle in how we hire people here on this island. So we are here to discuss a pivotal step in fostering fairness and integrity within our government. Today, with the introduction of the More Pari Pari Act of 2025. Our community has witnessed instances where employment decisions within our government have been influenced by personal relationships rather than merit. This practice undermines public trust and the principles of equal opportunity. The key provisions of this bill aims to eliminate nepotism within all branches of the government of Guam, ensuring that employment practices are based on qualification and merit. It prohibits individuals from being employed in the same agency where their relative through sanguinity or romantic relationships holds an appointing authority position. And the second key provision is it prevents individuals from being placed under the direct supervision of a relative or romantic relationship within any agency. We hear the word inafamaulik. Our culture emphasizes inafamaulik. The spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. By promoting fair employment practices, we strengthen the harmony and trust within the community, ensuring that all individuals have an equal opportunity to serve our island and honor them with dignity our people deserve and uphold the integrity of our institutions. For too long, I grew up here on Guam. I grew up here my whole life. And for too long, I heard the people of our island dispirited by the notion it's not what you know, but who you know. Every single person on this island who is well qualified has had a job opportunity wrongly not afforded to them, not because of the quality of their work, but the quality of their connections. And for me, that is corruption. That is corruption. When we are hiring people because they are family members and we can expect a certain degree of loyalty from them, that is corruption. The only loyalty any government of Guam employee should have is to the people of Guam. In Guam, our families are our strength. But in governance, fairness and merit must be our foundation. When government positions are filled based on ability, we all benefit from a more effective and trusted administration. So let us build a government where opportunity is available to all and favoritism is a thing of the past. The strength of our island lies in our unity and our unwavering commitment to equitable treatment for every citizen. Together, we can create a legacy of fairness where every child knows what they can grow up to serve their community through their talents and hard work. The other bill that we are here is to help continue this theme of no corruption in our government, to give ourselves accountability in all of our institutions. Today, I am reintroducing legislation designed to enhance the integrity and efficiency of our justice system by establishing a distinct office of the public prosecutor. This aims to resolve existing conflicts within our current framework, ensuring that both legal counsel to our government and public prosecution are conducted with undivided focus and dedication. So just a little bit of historical context. Under the Organic Act of Guam, the Attorney General serves as the chief legal officer of our government. Historically, this role encompassed both providing legal counsel to the government and prosecuting criminal offenses. In 1999, through Public Law 25-44, we transitioned from an appointed to an elected Attorney General. Combining the roles of Chief Legal Advisor and Public Prosecutor has led to some inherent challenges. The Attorney General is tasked with advising government agencies on legal matters, while also holding the responsibility to prosecute criminal activities, including those potentially involving the same agencies. This dual mandate can lead to conflicts of interest, as evidenced by recent legal disputes. And let's talk about some of these conflicts of interest. The Attorney General, in his dual capacity, has faced situations where prosecuting officials from agencies have been halted by court rulings. As noted in a recent Supreme Court decision, the Attorney General is bound by the Guam rules of professional conduct and must follow those ethical rules, particularly his duties of confidentiality and loyalty to his agency clients. This underscores the ethical dilemmas inherent in the current structure. And the other thing I would like to ask you, my fair reporters, is who watches the watchers? If there is ever a situation of wrongdoing in the Attorney General's office, who do we, the public, look to so we can trust their word about their institutions? Who watches the watchers? If you were to ask the Attorney General if he would accept the governor saying, "Trust me, I investigated myself and my agencies and I found no wrongdoing," he would not accept that answer. And so I would not accept an answer of an Attorney General who investigated himself and found no wrongdoing. As a citizen, to trust in my institutions, I need more than "trust me, bro." There has been meth found at the Attorney General's office. There are rumors circulating all around our community of a cover-up. We have heard reporting that there have been multiple days since the finding of this meth and no clear chain of custody, no reporting to Guam Police Department, and rumors circulating around community that there was a stand-down order. And none of this has been refuted. So how are we, as citizens of this island, supposed to take our institutions seriously if we cannot have an impartial person investigating them, not connected to that office? Again, I ask the question, who watches the watchers? And this is not to pick on the Attorney General at all. This is to give him a mechanism to clear his own name. I believe Doug Moylan when he says that he has nothing to do with it and he hates meth. I absolutely believe that. But again, as a citizen and as a believer in our institutions, I need more than "trust me, bro." I need somebody independent of that office, an office of a public prosecutor elected by the people to stamp out corruption, to tell us whether or not there's no corruption in that office. The provisions of this proposed bill establish the office of the public prosecutor, basically returning us to an appointed Attorney General and a newly elected office of the public prosecutor. In other jurisdictions, if the Attorney General is suspected of wrongdoing, the public prosecutor investigates and makes sure everything is all right. And by the same token, if the public prosecutor were to ever be accused of malfeasance or corruption, the Attorney General would be able to investigate and clear that person's name. So not only does this protect the people of Guam for corruption, it also protects the Attorney General and the public prosecutor from false allegations of corruption. So it is vastly important that we entertain and pass these both bills. My commitment is to uphold justice and to ensure ethical governance for the people of Guam by creating a legal system free from conflicts of interest. By establishing an independent public prosecutor, we affirm our commitment to impartial justice for all. Again, this reform isn't about any individual. It's about fortifying the integrity of our institutions and fortifying them against corruption. Separating these roles ensures that legal counsel and public prosecution each receive the undivided attention they deserve. With this legislation, we eliminate conflict of interest, paving the way for a more transparent government, a government our people trust. Trust in government is at an all-time low. And I intend to introduce these legislation with the spirit of bringing back trust in our government, letting people know that the most qualified people are the ones working, that the people who are enforcing our laws have people watching them and making sure they are following the law and they themselves are not corrupt. Right now, we have no mechanism to clear the Attorney General's good name. Let us have the mechanism. We are building a legal framework that stands as a beacon of clarity, integrity, and justice for all. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor for questions. Anybody have any questions? Sir.
Long post. I didn't hear it specifically from your statements, or did I see it in the bill, but the No More Pari Pari Act, is that a reaction to the recent controversial hirings at the OAG?
This is not related to any individual person. For me, this is this is the straw that broke the camel's back. I've lived on Guam my entire life. And my entire life, I have heard classmates as young as in middle school telling me that their parents are telling them, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And this has been happening for longer than my entire life. And I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. Frankly, I believe that the best possible people need to be getting the job, regardless of their family connections. Merit is what should be deciding these principles, not connections. And maybe recent events may have been the straw that broke the camel's back, but this has been a very, very long time coming. It's a corrupt practice and it needs to end.
The AG did respond to the proposal of these bills. He stated to the Speaker Blas and Senator Tello that he did disqualify himself from the hiring of certain individuals. So the first question is, would disqualification not be enough in your eyes? And the second?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Would anybody accept it if I told my chief of staff to go do the hiring, and if she happened to hire my wife, it wasn't me that did it? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thing on its face, frankly.
He says the legislation seeks to prevent the AG's office from hiring loyal, dedicated, trustworthy, competent staff to fulfill the office's promises. What are your comments on that?
Loyalty. That's an interesting word he chose to lead with. And that's why I have problems with nepotism hires, because he wants loyalty to him and his office, which is wrong. We deserve loyalty to the people of Guam. Let's take this meth instance, for instance. If the Attorney General or his brother or his wife is personally involved in some way, I have concerns if he can fairly adjudicate this problem. Maybe there will be a cover-up. Maybe there won't be. I don't know. But I think it stinks. It stinks to high heaven that there might be a corruption scandal at the Attorney General's office. It stinks to high heaven that family members may be involved. It stinks to high heaven that it took several days for the Attorney General to contact the police about meth in his office, that employees found it and whoopsie forgot about it. And I'm supposed to rely on, trust me bro, these loyal people to me are going to be loyal to the people of Guam and not do any wrongdoing? No, I don't buy it. Sir.
Of Guam, what are the mechanisms? How immediate are family members? What's the distance in the bill?
In the bill, it is the distance in the bill is immediate family members, so 3 levels of sanguinity, as well as negotiated romantic relationships. So if it fiancés of the nature, girlfriends, if you are in a romantic relationship with somebody, or if you have 3 levels of sanguinity, that is where the law goes.
What if it's a competitive employment? So you automatically are eliminated from even competing for a job because you might be romantically involved with your supervisor?
There is grandfather mechanisms in place, so if that person received that job before the appointing authority became their boss, no problem. But we are putting a stop to where the appointing authority is saying, the only person qualified to do this job just happens to be my brother. We're putting an end to that nonsense.
And Senator, the AG has said he is against both your bills. But regarding
Of course he is.
Yes, regarding your second bill, he argues that they weaken and stop ongoing corruption investigations against the governor and her cabinet. And in particular, he mentions the civil lawsuit against Gura and the governor for her medical complex. What's your response to this?
My response to this is, who watches the watchers? If there is corruption in the Attorney General's office, who clears the name of the Attorney General? If the Attorney General's position that he clears his own name and we have to take it on, trust me bro, we did nothing wrong, I find that unacceptable. And so unless he could find us a better alternative to separating the offices so we can ensure accountability on both sides, I take what he says with very little faith.
And the AG has expressed concern that separating his dual roles sort of upends checks and balances. What are your thoughts to this?
It does not upend checks and balances at all. If this newly created office of the public prosecutor was in fact erected and Doug Moylan was to win the office of public prosecutor, he could do everything he is doing now and nothing would change. He could go after all the perceived corruption he sees, and I highly encourage him to do so. But this would allow it so that if corruption in the AG's office was ever suspected, we have a mechanism for clearing the AG's name, for ensuring public trust in that office and making sure the people trust that when he is arresting people for meth, he himself is not doing it.
This is of Guam again. So who appoints this public prosecutor?
The public prosecutor will be an elected position, and the Attorney General will return to appointed by the governor. So in situations where the Attorney General is guilty or suspected of malfeasance, the public prosecutor can prosecute him for corruption. And if we ever find meth at the public prosecutor's office, the Attorney General can do a proper investigation to clear their name or prosecute the offenders.
And the AG, just for clarity, is going to be appointed by the governor?
That's correct. The Attorney General will be appointed and the public prosecutor will be elected.
And both your bills today are in line with the Governor's Freedom of Information Act request. Is the governor in support of your bills? Have you heard anything from her? Or perhaps is she the one who suggested you to introduce these bills?
No, the governor's off island. You know, I had wanted to speak with her about these issues, but I haven't been able to get any time with her because I wanted to see if I could get this past the governor's veto. But I haven't been able to talk with the governor at all about it, and so maybe when she gets back from her trip, maybe we could have that conversation. Joe.
Sir, regarding the changeover to the elected public prosecutor appointed attorney general, what would the timeline for that be? We had 2 more years in office for the current AG. Would it be after the next election, or what's contemplated?
For me, I would like to. This is a discussion that the body would have to make. But if it was me, I would prefer to have this change take place in the next term. The people elected Doug Moreland in his current capacity for 4 years, and I'm not looking to change up in the middle of his term. In my ideal world, this is happening for all future attorney generals and public prosecutors starting in 2026. That being said, if the body decides otherwise and would like to do that separation now, I am certainly open to this conversation, but we have had a social contract with the people of Guam that he would be Attorney General for 4 years, and I aim to honor that social contract.
Is there any contemplation for how much funding is going to be required to bisect the offices? I mean, there are different attorneys in different divisions, the way it's structured, the admin jobs that might have to become redundant if we have a new office who handles child support, things like that. Even how we might divide up the divisions. How much money do you think that's going to take?
It takes as much money as it's going to take, honestly, because I couldn't tell you what's going to happen in the budget season. We do not have a bunch of reports necessary for the budget season. The world is changing very rapidly with the Trump income taxes in terms of import taxes. And so who knows what's going to happen in terms of wages, in terms of office supplies, in terms of buildings. So, it's a little premature to start talking about the office cost of it, but I imagine it'd be similar to what we have with the Attorney General's office currently.
Where we would, at least to get money for, this is going to be like a new major figure in the government of Guam if we have these 2 offices. Where might that funding have to come from? Have you given any thought to that?
From the general fund. We have been going through many, many years of surpluses. We have positive tax receipts. The legislature has done a fantastic job of keeping the books in order. I do not anticipate, if we make this a priority, we will have the money to do it. Sir.
Back to the mechanics of the Pari Pari Act. Like the military, they're allowed to work in the same agency, but they would be allowed to transfer to a different agency. Is that allowed in the Pari Pari Act, where somebody is in an agency, possibly moves into a supervisory role, and finds out that they're, first cousins?
Yeah, and this is a question I answered earlier, that we have grandfather provisions in. So if somebody is promoted to a leadership position and somebody has been working there for a certain amount of time, they will be grandfathered in. So for example, if somebody in the future, please repeat. How do you mean?
So the governor appoints a director. There is a wife or a first cousin in that agency that's going to be like an engineer working under a director of DPW, for example. So what happens to that engineer that is now working right below a first cousin that is now director of DPW?
Well, if they were working there for about a year, I believe is what I put in the bill, they would be able to stay in their position currently as is, because they earned their position through merits, and the change of leadership had nothing to do with that.
So the director won't be able to go to DPW? No, the governor wouldn't be able to?
No, the governor would be able to appoint him to DPW, but the family member already working at DPW wouldn't lose their job.
But in the future, all of these things can move around, right? So an engineer can come in, and a future governor can appoint a deputy director. Mm-hmm. So how does that all work?
So really the
the
main thing is it's top down. If you are in an appointing position, if you're an agency director or anything like that, you cannot hire your family members. But if your family members are already working there when you become supervisor, they are grandfathered in.
Okay, we're going to take one more question.
Yeah, one more question. Joe?
I'm sorry, I'm talking to the bill in front of me, but in regard to the pari pari system, I mean, would that extend to, say, political offices, like here in the legislature, or say appointees for the governors, cabinet members,
Yes.
different boards?
Yes,
Okay.
across all the government. Across all the government. Honestly, I didn't know it was okay for me to hire my wife and brother, but frankly, I think that's wrong, and I'm going to do my best to make sure I'm not allowed to do so.
Senator, one more question.
Last one for real.
Have you heard from any of your colleagues? Are they in support of your bills, and how confident are you that they will pass?
I haven't actually spoken with any of my colleagues about this. You know, this is something that it was internally generated by me, and I want to take the lead on it. As far as whether it will pass, I think if this bill were to get to the floor of the legislature, I think it will pass. I think it will pass. But I do have concerns that maybe this potentially gets stuck in committee and never sees the light of day, because people may feel a certain type of way, a partisan type of way towards the Attorney General. I don't know. But I hope that this bill gets a fair hearing where we debate the merits of the idea, and this doesn't get tucked away in the corner of a committee somewhere to die a quiet death. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it.